For us to do what we've done, to continuously have to come to UConn, and every single school that I go to, from Buffalo to is unfair to the young people.
In all my years of doing this, I have seen a lot of expert turd polishing. I have seen people come up with brilliant excuses as to why they are huge, embarrassing failures. Whether it's mythical racism, whether it's Keith Olbermann, Katie Boo! Whether it's the boy named Pooh blaming his beautician for the fact that women refuse to be within 100 miles of him, or the WNBA blaming misogyny for their decades of failure, when the real reason the dump is unprofitable is because women refuse to watch and support pretend basketball. In all my years of doing this, I have heard damn near every excuse, but the turd polishing that we saw last night from Felisha Legette-Jack, the woman with almost as many names as her team scored points last night, the turd polishing from Felisha, that was some of the best I have ever seen. For those that don't know, and I am assuming that is everyone in this audience, because before last night, I had never heard of Felisha Legette-Jack either. I haven't seen Felisha since Ice Cube kicked her ass off the front porch. Bye, Felisha. For those that don't know, Felisha Legette-Jack is the head coach of the Lady Orange in Syracuse. Not to be confused with the masculine Orange, Don Trump. Orange man bad! Last night, the Lady Orange, they were eliminated from the women's tournament. Not only were they eliminated, they were humiliated. They lost by 53 points. The margin of defeat, it was larger than the 45 points that they scored in the game. The painful ass beating, it was over by halftime with UConn leading 65-12. How in the hell do you only score 12 points in a half? There are players in the NBA who are capable of scoring 12 points in a couple of minutes. Hell, Bam Adebayo, a role player. Throughout his career, Bam Adebayo has never been the number one option, and he has scored 31 points in a quarter. But a team that advanced to the second round of the women's tournament, which is supposed to feature the best of the best, and they only score 12 points in a half? It's not like this was some mid-major team. This is Syracuse, a team that is known for basketball. This is one of the many reasons that I can't get into women's basketball. Scores like this are common. The other day, Dawn Staley and the Lady Cocks from South Carolina, they beat something called Southern 103-34. There are so many lopsided games in the women's tournament, they should quit wasting everyone's time and just implement a mercy rule. Well, Uncle KC, why do you keep referring to it as the women's tournament? This is March Madness! You can call it March Madness if you want, but I'm calling for the remote to get this off my TV. Once again, with women's basketball, it's not the basketball that is generating headlines. It's not the actual product on the court. It's the dramatics. After their humiliating loss last night, Felisha was looking for someone to blame. Most normal people who just lost by 53 points, they would blame themselves. But Felisha, she can't do that. She can't accept responsibility for her own failure. Instead, she borrows the dunce cap from Candace Owens and she creates some radical conspiracy theory. According to Felisha, the selection committee is responsible for this humiliating loss because they have some mythical personal vendetta against a coach that no one's ever heard of. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Fluffernoggin. I am not a big snacker. I don't eat a lot of junk food, but there are times during the week when I'm too busy to stop and get lunch, and I need something quick and easy, but also filling enough to get me to dinner. One thing I have found that fills me up, beef jerky. Problem is, a lot of beef jerky tastes like you're biting into a flat tire. Good news is, I no longer have that problem because I started buying gourmet beef jerky from Fluffernoggin. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Fluffernoggin? Fluffernoggin is gourmet beef jerky that is 100% made right here in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows because all these cows are homegrown. Each recipe from Fluffernoggin is handcrafted with the perfect amount of seasoning. First beef jerky I've ever tasted that literally melts in your mouth. Fluffernoggin comes in a variety of flavors ranging from mango habanero, Korean barbecue. They even have a flavoring of craft beer. Or if you're like me, you'll just stick with the original style flavoring. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL30, BTL30. Receive 30% off your first purchase with Fluffernoggin. As a head coach, Felisha Legette-Jack has never made it past the Sweet 16. Now, according to Felisha, the reason she has never advanced past the Sweet 16, it's not her fault, has nothing to do with her coaching, has nothing to do with recruiting. Felisha can't advance to the later rounds of the tournament because those evil colonizers in the selection committee, they keep putting her in the same bracket as UConn. You see, if Felisha didn't have to compete against the best teams in the country, she would easily win a national championship. Ironically enough, when she was coaching at Buffalo, the 1 year she advanced to the Sweet 16, she was not in the same bracket as UConn, but she was in the same bracket as the Lady Cox, and she got her ass kicked. Last night, after UConn gave her a freshly bruised caboose, Felisha Jack grabbed the polish instead of the preparation H, and she proceeded to polish the turd. She proceeded to blame everyone else for another humiliating loss in the women's tournament. Watch it for yourself.
Somebody said, is there something that they might have against me? If that's the case, then we need to communicate about that. For us to be what we've done in our body of work, to have to come and play that best team in the country. But I thought, deserved a little more respect after being in this business for 37 years, and to have to come and be in this particular bracket every freaking year is unacceptable. It's wrong. If you're on the committee and you've been around for more than a year or two or 5 to 10 or 15 years, you understand what that looks like. I've been on those committees to see how it's done, how you can put people on different lines, put us on to get a 10 line, get whatever. But for us to continue to come to Connecticut year after year after year is, to me, it's a personal attack.
Who were you expecting to play in the postseason? Were you expecting to match up with Hofstra? Mercer? Were you expecting them to give you an easy opponent, perhaps a team from the WNBA? I know Felisha has never advanced into the later rounds, so I guess she doesn't understand how this works. The further you advance in the tournament, the better the competition is going to be. It's supposed to get harder. It's not supposed to get easier. And what the hell is she talking about with deserving more respect? I have been in this business for 37 years. I deserve more respect than to have to compete against the best teams every year. Look, I don't know anything about Felisha Legette-Jack. Until last night, I had never heard of her. I'm sure Felisha Legette-Jack is a nice lady. I'm sure she's a pretty good coach. But This is such a victim mentality. I don't remember Peyton Manning complaining about competing against Tom Brady every year in the playoffs. I don't remember Michael Jordan complaining about being matched up every year against the Pistons. You know what they did? They didn't make excuses. They found a way to win. Just because you have been coaching for 37 years, that does not mean you have earned the right to be given an easy path to a national championship. Syracuse was the 9 seed. Now, in the real March Madness, 9 seeds are pretty good teams, but in the women's tournament, you have a handful of great teams, and everyone else is the drizzling shits. And Syracuse is included in the drizzling shits. You know, for some reason, basketball more than any other sport gets talked about mostly for what happens off the court. And this is especially true for women's basketball. They feed off the controversy to remain relevant. Think about it. How often do you hear about the pretend basketball and the WNBA dump? Not the dramatics, not the fake racism. I'm talking about the illusion of basketball that happens on the court. Unless it's Angel Reese airballing layups and grabbing her own me-bounds, you don't really hear about it. The NBA has become a highlight league. People aren't watching games, they're watching highlights. Outside of March Madness, most people aren't paying attention to college basketball, and it's just not like that with other sports. Recently, the NHL has been feeding off of patriotism, but NHL fans, they watch games. With the NFL, we're watching games. Hell, the World Baseball Classic, which is an exhibition, the World Baseball Classic just drew massive ratings. But with basketball, the headlines, the attention they receive from the media, the stories always seem to be about what's happening off the court. If Felisha Legette-Jack doesn't have that emotional meltdown, no one is talking about that game from last night. She has been coaching for 37 years and she still gets asked for identification at family reunions. 37 years in coaching. And Felisha hasn't won a damn thing. She struggles to advance in the NIT. There is a lack of talent in the real women's tournament. I cannot imagine how low the talent level is in the NIT. And Felisha can't find a way to win that tournament. It's not hard to figure out why. Instead of looking for ways to improve, instead of taking responsibility, Felisha Legette-Jack, she wants to blame everyone else. I remember years ago, I was constantly complaining about my job, no matter what job I had. I would meet my dad for lunch a couple of times a week, and I would complain about my job the entire time. Eventually, he got tired of listening to a grown man complain, and he said, "Do something about it." Now, of course, in his mind, doing something about it was me finding a new job. I did the complete opposite, and I quit. And thanks to this amazing audience, I've never had to go back. Instead of being the victim, instead of complaining about facing UConn every year, instead of creating radical conspiracy theories that the selection committee has some kind of personal vendetta against a coach that no one's ever heard of, maybe Felisha Legette-Jack should find a way to just beat UConn. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.